In my legal company, we dealt with different kinds of clients. One particular client, a social media influencer, caused a lot of stress. He refused to pay for our services and used his influence to create pressure. At the same time, I was also going through a divorce. I sacrificed my emotional well-being. I put on a strong front for my team, my clients, and my friends. It was difficult to stand up for myself. We've recently started sharing our bottom line insights about our startup successes. And to be honest, we've seen a lot of people congratulate us, but no one actually sees the struggles we have to go through every single day. Why? Because people like to play with the winning team. When we're talking about investors, we're talking about partners, customers. Who wants to play with the losers? Nobody. And unfortunately, this is the game. Only the winners survive. You need to be bold, and you need to show that you're better than all the competition. Everybody will back winners, so this is where I will share what women should go for. Unfortunately, we all have to be strong, independent, and be winners. Failure is not an option. As simple as that. You're either a winner, or you just end up losing.
The most sexist comment I ever heard in business was that people like me, Black young females, shouldn't work this way, meaning in a senior position. That instead I should be lying down on a bed with my legs open. It was a rare comment, yet unfortunately it happened multiple times in certain business environments. Hearing this type of thing was normalized. I had to work not just twice as hard, but even more. And that is not normal. I shouldn't have to go to work and worry about my safety, yet unfortunately that is something most women have to go through. The moment I realized that the system was not made for me was when I was very little.
A time I didn't stand up for myself, and I regret it. It was my first time working in a business environment. I was working for a marketing company, and my boss was someone who thought I was the best at doing everything. He was very dismissive, and I wondered if it was because I am woman it wasn't easy. But over time, I realized that just because someone says I'm not good at something, it doesn't mean it's true. I decided to stop letting that define me. Now I'm really happy working on my own company. I have a male co-founder and we have an amazing relationship. This experience taught me that not all men are hostile, but more importantly, that we must stand up for what we believe in our values, our skills, and our worth. Because if we don't, no one else will.
I am a female founder building an AI startup, and I've been on this journey for almost 2 years now. It's also not my first business. Some fellow female founders I meet tell me that this almost makes me a unicorn because they've never met another woman who has built and successfully exited a business. But I wish I was getting the benefit of this perception from the people who actually hold the power, investors, and I can't say that has been the case so far. I don't know whether it has to do with the fact that I'm a woman or because my previous business wasn't a tech business, it was a service business. Either way, I still managed to exit successfully, but I've noticed that this achievement makes more of an impression on fellow founders rather than investors. I don't think it's a good idea to beat myself up over this. No matter what industry you build a business in, you develop a huge number of highly relevant and transferable skills. You learn how to budget, hire people, scale, and make connections. And all of that, nobody can take away from you. Even if my past experience doesn't necessarily help me fundraise, it has definitely helped me run my second business. Maybe that's the most important thing. As for raising funds as a female founder, I'm lucky to say I haven't faced any outright discrimination. Nothing I could point to and say, yes, this was clear discrimination. But we all know discrimination has a way of hiding. People are smart enough, or at least polite enough, not to say it to your face, but that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. The only frame of reference I have is my fellow male founders, who seem to raise money faster and with less difficulty. But it's hard to pinpoint why. It could be gender, but it could also be differences in skill sets. I'm not bad at pitching, but I'm not a salesman. I'm making progress. I've already raised half of my round, more than I raised in my previous pre-seed round. So if I've done it once, I can do it twice. I just wish it didn't take longer than it should. If you're on this journey, my advice is to keep pushing, keep believing in yourself, and focus on what truly helps you move forward. You don't necessarily have to brag, although that's important too, but you should always play to your strengths. And that's something nobody can take away from you.
Being a female founder raising kids is a unique challenge. You're juggling a newborn, sleepless nights, and a growing business. It's like running a marathon while carrying a baby and your laptop. Your partner may not be as supportive as you'd hoped, and your own needs often take a backseat. Dealing with postpartum recovery, breastfeeding, and hormones while your business demands 24/7 attention can be overwhelming, especially without family nearby. But it does get better. The baby starts sleeping, eating solids, and going to nursery. To all the women building empires while raising tiny humans without a village, you're not just founders, you're superheroes in disguise. Keep pushing, keep growing, you've got this.
My story is about the importance of listening to yourself and not giving up too early. 5 years ago, I was working in the event industry and transitioning into a completely different field, immigration law. A lot was happening in my life, both personally and professionally, but I didn't realize then how much those events were affecting my work routine. I was going through a very stressful period that led to hormonal changes. I didn't communicate what I was going through to anyone. At the time, I didn't fully understand how external stress could deeply affect my ability to work. In my legal company, we dealt with different kinds of clients. One particular client, a social media influencer, caused a lot of stress. He refused to pay for our services and used his influence to create pressure. At the same time, I was also going through a divorce. I sacrificed my emotional well-being. I put on a strong front for my team, my clients, and my friends. It was difficult to stand up for myself. I realized that my biggest fear wasn't the situation itself, but rather how my partners and colleagues would perceive me. I was afraid that the negative narrative the influencer was spreading on social media would damage my relationships. But when I finally opened up to my partners and my team, we grew even stronger. What I thought would break me and my company actually made us more resilient. My advice? Build a community of people who support you. No matter what you're going through, talk to them. Building a business is incredibly hard, but you don't have to go through it alone.
I think some women are naturally born entrepreneurs and set themselves on a path to make it happen. The advice I would give my younger self is to really take the time to focus on yourself. A lot of that will play out in your actions while growing your business. The more time you spend developing yourself and becoming the best version of yourself, the easier it will be to run a company and avoid building a business that doesn't align with your values. More importantly, it prevents you from using entrepreneurship as a healing mechanism. Instead, you can create a company from a place of security and strength. One thing I personally struggle with is self-belief. Logically, I know I can do it, but I constantly battle self-doubt. It's something I have to work on every single day.
I met an investor who approached me, and while we were talking, I mentioned my idea. He said he'd love to hear more and invest, so we exchanged contact details. He insisted we meet in person. He invited me to a private club. Excited, I went, ready to pitch my idea. As I spoke about what I was building, I noticed he wasn't truly interested in my startup. Instead, he started making inappropriate advances, touching my thigh and telling me I was beautiful. It was gut-wrenching. I had spent a week chasing this opportunity, believing he was genuinely interested in my vision. Instead, he made empty promises about introducing me to the right people, claiming I'd get the funding I needed if I looked at him differently and joined him on vacation. He was much older, and it became painfully clear that this was never about my business. Leaving that meeting, I felt utterly defeated. I remember standing at the train station thinking, what if I just jump and end it all? I was exhausted from the journey, unsure if things would ever get better. But then I thought about the incredible women who had supported me, those who believed in me, and so I kept going.
There was a time when I thought the world would be better without me. I ended up with a planned vision to end my life and picked up some tablets out of fear that the world was scarier than what I could handle. This moment, and the reason why I'm sharing the darkest time of my life, is because I got through this twice. Now I'm a female founder, coming out and really getting to prove the people that put me in that position or made me feel a certain way about myself wrong. It's not been easy, but I want to share this to inspire everyone. That journey to self-reflection, even though it's the hardest thing you could ever do. Sometimes there are days when you're embarrassed, days when you're crying and start to flee, and you won't wash for multiple days. It's the hardest thing you could do.
I have a fear of telling people that my co-founder is also my life partner. I really hope that being both co-founders and partners won't change the trajectory of our lives in a negative way. I don't want people to think we can't make it just because of our relationship, or assume that because I'm a woman, I'll influence his decisions or he'll influence mine, especially as we build a family. We just want to show our drive as founders and prove that no matter where you come from or what idea you have, you can make it